Hey everybody, we're back for our second lesson, which is called Order of Operations. So we're going to look at two different versions of two different mnemonics to remember the order of operations. The first one is probably the one that you learned in school. It's called PEMDAS. All right, and I want you to dust off those cobwebs and see if you can remember what PEMDAS stands for. Do you remember the little phrase they used, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally? So that was the phrase that they used to help us remember that. And the P in PEMDAS stood for parentheses, E stood for exponents, M and D stood for multiplication and division, and then A and S stood for addition and subtraction. Now just a couple of additional pieces of information about each little step. So this is the order that we complete our operations in. So you start with parentheses, and that includes all grouping symbols. All right, so parentheses, curly braces, brackets. Let me throw some of those up on the screen just so you remember what those look like. All right, so parentheses, brackets, and then curly braces. All right, and then our second step is to simplify all exponents. The next step is to complete all multiplication and division, and that's performed left to right. So if division is on the left and then multiplication is on the right, you do division first. So this can be somewhat confusing for students when they're first learning this. They feel like they're supposed to do multiplication first because that comes first in PEMDAS, but we actually work left to right. And then the same goes for addition and subtraction. So we work left to right as it appears in the expression. So if subtraction is on the left, then we do subtraction first. Now the updated version of the order of operations is called GEMS. GEMS, G-E-M-S. All right, so GEMS stands for grouping. So this is going to be all of your grouping symbols. So parentheses, brackets, exponents. Parentheses, brackets, curly braces. Then we're doing exponents. So E stands for exponents. M stands for multiplication and division. S stands for subtraction and addition. All right, so, and again, multiplication and division is performed left to right as it appears in the expression, and the same goes for addition and subtraction. It is performed left to right as it appears in the expression. All right, so let's jump into some examples. All right, so these examples are somewhat complicated, and they've got a lot going on, so we're just going to take them piece by piece. Here we've got the directions say evaluate by hand. And the first part, part A, says the square root of 9 minus 5 minus, and then we've got this big fraction, 8 minus 4 over 4 minus 2. All right, so I'm going to start by simplifying within that radical. I think of a radical as kind of like a grouping. It's a way to group an expression underneath the radical. So I'm going to perform that operation that's underneath the radical. So 9 minus 5 is 4. And then I'm also going to simplify the expressions in the top and the bottom of the fraction. So let's do that. We said that 9 minus 5 is 4, so we've got square root of 4 minus 8 minus 4. Let me do my laser pointer. 8 minus 4 simplifies to 4. 4 minus 2 simplifies to 2. So really we haven't even really gotten into the order of operations yet. We're just kind of simplifying within our little terms. All right, so kind of just simplifying within each individual term. All right, so now we see that we have division here, 4 divided by 2, and then we've also got this radical here. So we've got the square root of 4 minus 4 over 2. The square root of 4 is 2, so I'll go ahead and simplify that. And then 4 over 2 is also 2. All right, so square root of 4 simplified to 2, 4 over 2 simplified to 2, and 2 minus 2 is 0. That's your final answer. All right, our next problem A little bit more simple. It says 3 times 1 minus 5 squared minus 4 squared. All right, 3 times 1 minus 5 squared minus 4 squared. Lots of exponents here, so let's start by simplifying within that parentheses. 1 minus 5 is negative 4. Notice that everything else stayed the same. Right now, I'm going to evaluate my exponents. Negative 4 squared. Negative 4 squared, that's negative 4 times negative 4. That would be 16. And then 4 squared is just 16. All right, so we've got 3 times 16 minus 16. 3 times 16, we're doing multiplication, is 48. 48 minus 16 is 32. That's your final answer. All right, here, sort of similar to what we were seeing in the first one where we've got this fraction and it's not simplified. So we've got 10 minus 6 over 5 minus 3 minus 4 minus the absolute value of 7 minus 2. All right, so I like to think of absolute value as a type of grouping symbol. So I'm going to simplify within that grouping symbol. All right, so 7 minus 2 is positive 5. And now let's go ahead and simplify that absolute value. The absolute value of positive 5 is just 5. All right, so I haven't done anything else. Everything else has remained the same. But now I am going to go ahead and simplify the numerator and denominator of that fraction. 10 minus 6 is 4. 5 minus 3 is 2. All right, so we've got 4 over 2 minus 4 minus 5. All right, I've run out of room here, so I got to transfer this over to the next page. All right, so same thing as the last line. We've just opened this in a new page. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and do that division. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Now I can just work left to right. 2 minus 4 minus 5 is negative 7. All right, I like this problem. You can put a star by this one. You can expect to see something like this on the homework for sure. All right, so we've got negative 5 squared minus 20 divided by 4 minus 2. All right, so order of operations, we're going to do our exponents first. Negative 5 squared. Now, don't let this confuse you. This is not saying negative 5 in the parentheses squared. All right, it's just negative and then 5 squared. So just drop the negative down and then do 5 squared. 5 squared is 5 times 5, so that's 25. So we have negative 25. Negative 25. All right, then we're going to work in the middle here. We've got division, so that's our next step is to do division. Negative 20 divided by 4 is negative 5. All right, so we've got, let's see if I can write with my pen here. Yes, negative 25. What's negative 20 divided by 4? That'd be negative 5, right? Minus 2. All right, now we've just got subtraction, so we're just going to work left to right. Negative 25 minus 5 would be negative 30. Minus 2 would be negative 32. That's it. Here we have a little bit of a different style problem. It says use a calculator to evaluate the expression and then round your result to the nearest thousandth. And we have the cube root of 192. Now you can do this by hand. You can simplify radicals by hand, but here we're just practicing using the calculator to do some order of operations problems. But I just wanted to throw this problem in there just to remind you of how we plug in a cube root. And I have a little screen recording here of me plugging this into the calculator, and you'll notice that I make a mistake in the video and I say that we're supposed to round to 2 decimal places, but we're actually supposed to round to 3 decimal places. So just keep that in mind as you watch the video. Here I'm showing how to plug in a cube root on a TI-84. Similar process if you have a TI-83. If you have a different calculator, if you're working with a scientific calculator, then just Google your calculator name and then cube root, and I'm sure something will come up. So you're going to hit the math button, which is over here on the left. You're going to scroll down to option number 4, which is a cube root. If it's any other root, 4th root, 5th root, 6th root, you're going to use option number 5. But a cube root is option 4. And then I'm going to type in my radicand, which is 192. And hit enter, and there we go. All right, perfect. So I actually didn't say in the video that we were supposed to round to 2 decimal places, but I know for sure that I do on the next slide, so just keep that in mind whenever you see the next one. All right, so we've got, this is approximately 5.769. All right, so again, if you just need a quick reminder on rounding, we're supposed to round to 3 decimal places, so we're looking at the 4th decimal place to tell us if we should round up or keep it the same. So since this is greater than 5, so it's supposed to be 5, if it's 5 or larger, then we're going to round up. If it's less than 5, we're going to keep it the same. All right, so since this number here is greater than 5, then we're going to round up. So we have 5.769. All right, next we have 2 more problems. We got 10 divided by 2 divided by 5 plus 10 over 5. And then we've got 3.2 times 1.1 squared minus 4 times 1.1 plus 2. And I did these both in the same video, so that's why you're seeing them on the same slide. And I know for sure in this video that I do misspeak and say that we're supposed to be rounding to 2 decimal places. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so we're going to be doing order of operations in the calculator. This first one is actually a little bit tricky to plug in, and honestly it might be easier just to do it by hand, or at least to chip away at it a little bit before you plug it in. But I'm going to show you, if you were just to go straight into the calculator and plug this in, this is how you would plug it in. So we've got 10 divided by 2 divided by a fraction, which is 5 plus 10 over 5. All right, so we're going to start by typing in 10. We're going to hit the divided by button, and then 2, and then divided by. Then we've got a fraction. So we need to tell the calculator, hey, when you divide by this next piece, do the whole thing all together. So we're going to put a parentheses so that the calculator knows that this next chunk is all together. And so we've got 5 plus 10. We'll go ahead and add that. That's 15 divided by 3. If you didn't go ahead and add it, you would have to put another set of parentheses and then do 5 plus 10, close parentheses, divided by 3. So I think it's easier just to go ahead and do 5 plus 10 in your head. All right, and then I'm going to close that parentheses. So what I've got here is 10 divided by 2 divided by fraction, 15 divided by 3. Oh, 3. I was writing the answer. That was supposed to be a 5. All right, so I fixed that. All right, so it's supposed to be 15 divided by 5, not 15 divided by 3. So I fixed that. Now we're going to hit enter, and there you go. So we're supposed to round to 2 decimal places, so that would be 1.67. As a fraction, that would be 5 over 3, I think. Let's check. 5 over 3. Yep, same thing. Okay, so the next piece says 3.2 times 1.1 squared minus 4 times 1.1 plus 2. All right, so we're just going to plug this in exactly as it appears. I don't need to do any type of simplification. I'm going to clear out my screen just to make this a little bit neater. All right, so 3.2 parentheses 1.1 close parentheses squared, that's right here kind of diagonal from the 7, minus, not a negative but a minus, so minus 4 parentheses 1.1 close parentheses plus 2. All right, then enter. All right, we're supposed to round to 2 decimal places, so that would be 1.47. Okay, so here's our answers. Right, so 10 divided by 2 divided by 5 plus 10 over 5, that simplified to 1.667. And then on part C, we ended up with 1.472. All right, so that is it for our order of operations video. If you are still struggling with order of operations or you want some additional videos, then just send me an email and let me know. I'm happy to link some great videos from YouTube, or you can just search, you know, order of operations review with GEMS or with PEMDAS. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Hope you're having a great day.